Now we begin turn number 3. In turn 3, the Italians will receive the Vuole division, but note that there are no truck units with this division. So this division will take a while for it to reach the front lines. The Black Flames are spread around this area, and its headquarters, which has a supply range of 7 hexes, cannot supply all its units. So the Black Flames will consolidate with the units in the vicinity of Brihuega, while the newly arrived division, which is the Black Arrows, will advance along the Guadalajara road. So we start with the movement phase for the Black Flames. We've seen the units moving here to the east actually, and now we're going to see the movement of this stack of infantry and tank company. It will approach Brihuega, and it reaches this position here in order to keep the tank together with the infantry. Needing artillery for the Brihuega sector, the Italians will move these stacks of artillery, flipping them to their motorized side along this track. Brihuega now we'll see the movement of the Black Arrows. Okay, the Italians have a problem. This unit here in Almadrones exerts a zone of control on this road hex. In this game, motorized units and all these stacks in the Black Arrows division start with trucks. Motorized movement is prohibited in open terrain because it is assumed that it is all muddy. So they can only move on road hexes. And by moving here, they would have to stop. So this unit is actually stopping this entire column. Now, luckily for the Italians, in the game we have these markers, the reserve markers, that allow units that are placed on reserve to move during the exploitation phase. And so what the Italians will do is they will move one of these stacks to attack together with the engineers, the unit in Almadrones, and after the combat phase, the other stacks marked with reserve markers will move during the exploitation phase. So we'll take away the trucks from this stack, and the stack now has 3 infantry battalions and the tank company, and it will move to this hex with, and now the Italians will mark all of these stacks with reserve markers. And as I stated before, these units will be able to move in the exploitation phase. Now let's take a look at the situation near the Tajuña River near Abanades. This is the situation before movement and after movement. And we're going to see the movements of the Spanish Soria division, starting with the Sotelo group. These units will capture Argesilla, and traveling on this track, they will reach this hex here. And the capture of Argesilla gives the Nationalists 1 more victory point, which raises the score to 13. Now we see the situation before movement in the Jadraque sector. This lone Republican unit is exerting a zone of control on this road here to Miral Rio. The Villalba group will move this force here to this hex to attempt to overrun the Republican unit and get its zone of control out of the way. Because the Republicans are in force, their defense strength is doubled. It is a 2-to-1 attack, but with a +2 to the die roll because of the tank company. The result is a 6 modified to an 8, and it is defender loses 1 step. And the defender now is flipped to its other side. The attack failed to eliminate the unit, and it failed to retreat it, so it's still exerting a zone of control on this hex. The presence of the zone of control means that the remaining nationalist forces won't be able to advance very far, probably around this area here. The Phalangist unit can reach Miral Rio and this hex, so it will so move there. So the Phalangists capture Miral Rio, adding 2 more points to the victory point score. Now it's 15. Now let's see the movement of the remaining forces around Jadraque. And those are the positions after movement. Now these are Ibáñez's forces before movement, and after movement, still no attacks on that sector. Okay, the Italians received during turn 3 the Vuole division. Now this division does not enter the game through this hex like the Black Arrows, but it enters through this one. in the Spanish nationalist sector, and it is allowed by exception to move along this road and cross into the Italian zone through here. So here is a Diola division before movement, and it will reach this hex here. These are the positions of the division after movement. That's the end of the movement phase. Now we go to the tank repair phase. We roll a die to see if that Italian tank company returns to the game as a reconstituted unit in the next turn. It has to roll a 5 or a 6, so we roll a die. The roll is a 3, so it remains there for now. Now we go to the barrage phase. We have this artillery unit making a spotted attack against this Republican unit, but the attack is ineffective. Now we have this artillery unit attacking the Republicans in Abanades, and the barrage attack is also ineffective. Now we have a barrage attack by these two artillery units against a reduced Republican unit here. The result is a 6, and although the attack was a spotted artillery attack, it also causes no damage. Now we move to the combat phase, and we have these two stacks attacking this Republican unit. The result is 7, and the Republicans lose 1 step. And the last attack in the combat phase here are 2 infantry units, 8 factors each, 16 combat factors attacking 2 defense factors. Here they are doubled because they're enforced. So it is a 4-to-1 attack plus 2 for the armored unit. The result was a 3 modified to a 5. The defender retreats 1 hex. The defender is so retreated, and at last there's no zone of control on the road to Miral Rio. Now we check the unsupplied Italian units for attrition. A die is rolled for each of these volunteer Italian units. On a 5 or 6, they lose a step, and there is a +1 modifier for being Italian volunteer units. So we roll a die for each. A 5 and a 6, the worst result possible. Each unit suffers a step loss. So we invert each unit. Now we check for supply, and this stack is also unsupplied because it is more than 7 hexes away from its parent headquarters, which we see that is all the way here near the village of Henares. So we place also an unsupplied marker on the stack. Okay, here we have the attack of elements of the Black Arrows with this tank company against the garrison at Almadrones. I moved this engineer company 1 hex back. I consider it moved during the movement phase to avoid the overstacking here. So the odds initially are more than 4-to-1, but the rightmost column is 4-to-1. There's a shift to 3-to-1. We roll 2 dice. Die roll a 6 modified +2 because of the armored unit to an 8. And the result is that the Republican unit loses a step and retreats. Because it was only a reduced unit with 1 step, it is eliminated. The Italians capture the hex. They could advance 1 more hex, but that would mean splitting the infantry from the tank company, so the Italians will stay at Almadrones. And Almadrones' 2 victory points now increase the score to 17. Okay, now we go to the nationalist exploitation phase. We will remove these reserve markers, and these 5 stacks can now move. Because most of the units that are going to move now are mechanized or motorized, they will move around this road in a southerly direction and advance to this sector here near Gajanejos. And these are the positions of the Black Arrows after exploitation movement. Black Arrows have these 2 stacks. They have disembarked their infantry from the trucks. So each stack has 3 infantry battalions plus a tank company and a flame-throwing tank company. And that's the end of turn 3 for the nationalists. Now we go to turn 3 for the Republicans. We go to the airpoint determination phase. There's a slight chance that the Republicans may receive 1 airpoint if they roll a 5 or a 6. So we roll 1 die. So the roll is a 1. We're in turn 3. No airpoints received this turn. The Republicans received significant reinforcements on this turn. Let's take a look at them. They have 3 regular infantry Republican battalions, 3 T-26 tank companies, an armored car company. There's 3 truck units and a significant artillery group. And we have 4 units of the International Brigades, the Garibaldi Battalion, the Dąbrowski, mostly Polish battalion, and the André Marti Battalion, and the Cavalry Company of the International Brigades. The Republicans have now an opportunity to recapture Brihuega. They will move these 2 International Brigade units here to attempt to overrun this unsupplied unit. In the event of success, they will occupy this hex. Then in the barrage phase, 2 artillery units here will attempt to disorganize this other unsupplied Italian unit in Brihuega. And in the event of success, then we will see in the combat phase an attack by these 2 International Brigade units plus the unit that is also in this stack. So here we have the Comune de Paris and the Talman Battalion, and they move next to this Italian unit and announce an overrun attack. It is a 4-to-1 attack, and the result is die roll of 7. The defender loses 2 steps. So the unit is eliminated and the attackers occupy the space. Now the Edgar André Battalion in the movement phase moves also adjacent to the Italians in Brihuega, and we will see these units now approaching this area also, and they move in this space where the artillery is. Now we'll see the movement of the Republican units on the Guadalajara road near the leading elements of the Black Arrows Division. Here we see the final positions of those units. And here we see the turn 3 Republican reinforcements about to enter the game. 2 infantry battalions will enter in this space and will move towards the sector near Mira el Rio. And we have the bulk of the reinforcements with the International Brigades entering through here. And we will see a portion of that force moving along the Guadalajara road, and the other half will go towards Brihuega. And here we have the positions of the reinforcements together with the other Republican units after they moved. We see here in the Guadalajara road that the reinforcements have arrived. There are T-26 tank units awaiting the Italians here and blocking the road. Here we see the reinforcements from the International Brigades, and they are well on their way to reinforce their companions here who will be attacking Brihuega this turn. This is the situation in the Cogolludo sector before the Republican units move. These are the positions after movement. The Republicans are falling back on Cogolludo, trying to keep a line while waiting for the reinforcements to arrive. In the sector near Abanades, the Republicans do not move, so the situation remains static. Now it's the Republican barrage phase. Let's take a look at the artillery units that the Republicans have here. The Republicans will fire with both of these artillery units. It's a barrage attack of 27 factors against this already unsupplied and inverted Italian unit. The die roll is a 3, and the attack produces no effect. Now we move to the combat phase, and there are 3 International Brigade battalions here attacking this unsupplied Italian unit. It is a 4-to-1 attack. The result is a 6, so the defender retreats 2 hexes. So it retreats onto the mountains and remains unsupplied. Now the attackers advance into the vacated Brihuega hex, and they can advance 1 more hex. However, they decide to limit their advance to just occupying and recovering Brihuega. With the recapture of Brihuega, the score now for the Nationalists is reduced to 12 victory points. Now we check for supply of Republican units, and we find that this reduced battalion is unsupplied. And now we check for attrition for the garrison of Mirabueno. We roll a die. It is a 5, so the unit loses its last step and is eliminated. There's a situation at the end of the turn. The Diolobuole division has entered the map. It will take them a while to get into the fray because they are not fully motorized. The Black Arrows have advanced as far as here, Gajanejos, and they will encounter the Republicans that are blocking the Guadalajara road. Meanwhile, the Black Flames are going to the rescue of their companions, which have been pushed out of Brihuega, and the Italians will have as reinforcements in turn number 4, the Litorio Division, the only regular Italian army division in the game, and as you can see, their infantry battalions are strong, with 6 in attack and 9 in defense, and they are fully motorized. So now we move to turn number 4. We start with a movement phase, and we will concentrate on the movements of the Black Flames Division, which will be concentrating its forces around this area, trying to get its unsupplied units back in supply. So here are the Black Flames before movement, and here we have the positions after movement, and during the supply phase, all of these units will be back in supply because the headquarters is within 7 hexes. Now we will see the movement of the Black Arrows. The trucks that transported these units have left, and they will move to occupy positions to start attacking the Republicans blocking the road to Guadalajara. Here we have the positions after movement. These units were actually unsupplied, and they should have been marked before, so they only moved half their movement allowance. But the headquarters, which was around this area, was now placed here so that it can supply these units here, plus the units in the front lines, and we'll have this stack of infantry and the tank company attacking that infantry company in the ensuing combat phase. Pending movement for the Black Flames is this engineer company. It will move to Alaminos and capture that village for 1 victory point. So the score now moves up to 13. The Diolo division is about to move, and the Italians have a significant number of unused trucks that are off map, specifically 12 trucks. So here we have 9 infantry battalions, so a truck unit will be assigned to each. And now the division is fully motorized, and it will move in this direction, in the direction here of Alaminos, capture a couple of these villages here, and then push together with the Black Flames in the direction of Brihuega. So these are the positions of the Diolo division before movement. And here we have the infantry of the Diolo division after unloading from their transports. The headquarters is here. It will provide supply to all its units, including these units who are behind on the march. Now we'll take a look at the movements of the Spanish Soria division, Sotelo's group here. We have here Villalba's group and Pita de Vega's cavalry group also. Here we have Sotelos's group will advance and capture Utande, and will advance up to this position here. With the capture of Utande, the nationalist victory point score goes up to 14. With the capture of the road here near Utande, this Republican unit will be now unsupplied. So let's see the movement now of Villalba's group here and Pita de Vega's cavalry units. The Phalanges and the Carlist unit will move forward towards Padilla de Ita and will form a line in front of that Republican unit. Meanwhile, Pita de Vegas' cavalry group will move through Casas de San Galindo along this track, will capture Muduex and end its move in this space here. With the capture of Muduex, the nationalist score increases now to 16. The armored company will move along this road and join the Falangist unit. These 2 artillery units will move forward along this road. And the 2 infantry battalions will move here and attempt to overrun the Republicans in Villanueva de Argesilla. The odds are more than 4-1, but because there's a shift to the left, because the unit is in a village, it is a 3-1 attack. The result is a 7. The defender loses 1 step, so the defending unit is eliminated, and the attackers decline advancing into the vacated hex. Now let's see the movements of Ibáñez's group. Here are the positions after movement. They don't have enough movement points to move into a zone of control of an enemy unit, so they move as close as possible. And the movement here near Abánades, and here we have the positions after movement. The Italians received the Littorio division, which is fully motorized, and it is the only regular Italian army infantry division in the game. The Littorio division enters here in hex 6216. And here is the position of the division after movement, and it is here in the neighborhood of Almadrones. And all the artillery units concentrated in this hex, which is more than 19, the rightmost column, will attack the Republican unit in Abánades. The attack is shifted 1 column to the left because the target is in a village. The result is 10, disorganized. So we place this marker, which we are using as a disorganization marker, and now the defending unit will be halved when it is attacked in the combat phase. So now we go to the combat phase, and this would be a 4-1 attack, but because the defender is in a village, it is a 3-1 attack. Result is a 9. The defender suffers 1 step loss and it retreats 2 hexes. It only has 1 step left, so it is eliminated. And the Italians move in to Abánades, capture that village, and gain 2 victory points, which moves the score up to 18 victory points. Okay, we have another attack now. 3 infantry battalions and a tank company attacking this weak Republican infantry company. The odds are more than 4-1, but the rightmost column is 4-1 because this company is in a forest hex. The odds are now modified to 3-1, so 2 dice are rolled. The result is that the defender loses 2 steps. This unit is a 1-step unit, so it is eliminated. And the attackers advance into the vacated hex. Go to the nationalist supply phase, and the units near Brihuega that were previously unsupplied are now supplied because they can trace a line of communications to their divisional headquarters. Now the situation with the engineer company of the Black Flames division is that this unit is further away from its headquarters than ever before, so it is unsupplied, so we will mark it with an unsupplied marker. That's the end of the Italian turn. For turn number 4, we see that the Littorio division has just entered the action, moving south to join the Black Arrows, who have started to engage enemy units here near Gajanejos. In addition, the Black Flames are consolidating their forces here in the area of Villaviciosa de Tajuña, and they will receive as reinforcements the Diolobola division, but they are first clearing up some villages and capturing them before moving on to Brihuega. And now it's the Republic's turn number 4, and the first phase is the air determination phase. We're in turn 4, and the Republic needs a 6 to receive 1 air point, so we roll a die. The result is a 2, no air points this turn. The Republicans will receive reinforcements in this turn. The reinforcements are mostly weak units. We have 2 communist cavalry units. We have 2 companies of armored cars. And these are 2 reconstituted units that had been eliminated previously and return inverted. Situation after movement. The approaching International Brigade units did not have enough movement points to move adjacent to enemy units, so they occupied these positions here. The artillery is ready to fire in the barrage phase to any of these nationalist units, and we have a fully stacked hex here that could, depending on the result of the barrage, attack any weakened Italian units in the upcoming combat phase. Here's the situation around Gajanejos, where the Black Arrows have started to attack the Republican units there, but the Republicans have reinforced the units with companies of T-26 tanks. So these are the positions of the Republicans before the movement phase. These are the positions after movement. The Republicans forming a line, and they've deployed some units in the forest. Now, they haven't moved this T-26 company. The Republicans will move up their reinforcements up to here, and they will stack those T-26s with the reinforcements. And we will see this unit moving to the area around Brihuega to give the Republicans some tanks in that area to try to offset the Italian tanks that are in the vicinity. And so they move to this location. Here we have the arriving reinforcements, and they will be moving towards the action here in the Gajanejos sector. And here is after their movement phase. Here's the situation around the Padilla de Ita. Elements of Villalba's group have advanced near that village, and they will try to keep on advancing to Ita, which is worth 3 victory points. So the Republicans are going to try to form a line here before Padilla de Ita. To do that, they will bring units that are the reinforcements for this turn, the armored car reinforcements and some infantry. These are the positions of the unit after movement, and we see that the units have formed a tenuous line here before Padilla de Ita, and more reinforcements are on the way. This is a situation around Cogolludo worth 5 victory points before Republican movement. A line is being formed by these units with this infantry battalion in reserve. In the sector around Abanades, the only Republican unit is unsupplied. It cannot move off the map because it has to do it along a road, so it's going to stay right there. Now we go to the barrage phase. The Republicans have 2 artillery units here, so they could make 2 barrage attacks, and we will see a barrage attack against this hex here with the hopes of obtaining a disorganized result against the infantry unit there to soften it up for the attack in the combat phase by this stack, and the other barrage attack will be against this unit here in order to prepare it for an attack by these Republican units. Okay, so the first barrage attack, 14 factors applied against this unit. And the result is a 9. It is disorganized. And we place this marker to signify that status. The next attack will be by this artillery unit, 13 barrage points against this hex here. The result is a 7, but there's a 1 column shift to the right because the spotting units are on the hills surrounding Brihuega. So the result is that the defending units are disorganized, and we so mark the units. And we move now to the combat phase, and the only attacks by the Republican units are also in this sector. These 2 Republican units, 6 combat factors total, against this Italian unit, which is halved because it is disorganized. This is a 3-to-1 attack. The result is 8, and it is D suffers 1 step loss and retreats 1. The defenders are eliminated because they only have 1 step. The attackers elect not to occupy this vacated hex. The next attack is by this stack of International Brigade units against this stack here, which contains an Italian infantry battalion and the armored company. We've moved slightly the armored company, so you see the unit beneath. It is a 586 battalion. The defense is halved because it is disorganized. It is a 4-to-1 attack. The defender loses 2 steps. So the infantry battalion of the Black Flames here is eliminated, and the armored company cannot be alone in the hex. It has to retreat to the nearest friendly hex, so it will retreat to this hex also occupied by a battalion of the Black Flames, and it retains its status of disorganization. Now the victorious Republicans will occupy the vacated hex with 2 of their units. Now this is the first unit of the volunteer divisions by the Italians that has been destroyed. So let's take a look at the morale rules for the Italians. We rolled a die for this unit and it will return 4 turns from now as an inverted reduce unit during turn 8. When an Italian volunteer division takes losses in combat, the loss is reflected through the use of these markers, which are placed on the morale track in the space corresponding to the number of steps lost. If the marker ever reaches the 11 box, the entire division panics and will be subject to a forced retreat procedure that will practically render the division useless. Moving on to the supply phase, and we have one Republican unit here which is out of supply, so we have to roll for attrition. The roll is a 4, no effect, so the unit continues in that same state. End of turn 4, now we go to turn 5.